Amazon just launched its first satellites for Project Kuiper, directly competing with SpaceX's space internet. This big step could change how we get internet from space. Why does this matter? It's not just about faster internet, but a major shift in who leads in space technology. With the second launch of Starship causing a stir, everyone seems to have forgotten an arch-rival. United Launch Alliance. They are also looking to deal with the threat from SpaceX by launching a new trump card, Vulcan rocket. It will be released for the first time at the end of December. This is definitely a huge push for SpaceX's Starship. So what has ULA prepared for Vulcan's readiness? And can this launch mission help ULA reclaim its superpower status after years of absence from the space race? Keep watching as we dive into this and explore how Amazon's move could shake up the space race and what it means for all of us and more in today's episode.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of my channel.
ULA has its missing rocket piece in hand at Cape Canaveral and all systems are going for a Christmas Eve launch to mark the debut of its Vulcan Centaur rocket. A new Centaur upper stage arrived on the Space Coast. A replacement for the stage ULA originally planned to fly on the Certification 1 mission this past May. That initial flight, already delayed for nearly 2 years, was again put on hold after an issue with a test version of the Centaur stage was destroyed amid a massive fireball in the spring, requiring design changes to ensure a repeat didn't happen during actual liftoff. The path to Flight 1 is clear, said ULA President and CEO Tori Bruno. All we need to do is integrate the stage onto the vehicle. We do all kinds of system testing anytime we touch it, so we'll have to pass all that, get through the wet dress rehearsal, and then integrate the payload and off to space. ULA's been shopping at the bit to get this debut launch off the ground with its primary payload of Astrobotic Technologies, Peregrine Lunar Lander. The first of NASA's commercial lunar payload services missions. Certification 1 also is carrying partial human remains or a DNA for Celeste's Incorporated's Enterprise flight, all to be installed on the Centaur stage that will head out for a permanent home in deep space. Certification 1 has a 3-day window from December 24th to the 26th, with early morning target liftoff times because of the needs of the lunar lander's target on the Moon. If it misses the December dates, Bruno said ULA was working with NASA to nail down options in the first half of January. The mission is the first of 2 ULA has to complete before it would be allowed to fly missions for the Department of Defense, and ULA had originally been targeting 3 such missions in 2023 before the delay. It's also the first of 7 missions stretching out 5 years for Vulcan, with Bruno only willing to say the contracts were worth billions. It's a substantial backlog, kind of in a way unprecedented in the launch business to have a backlog that large, but also to have a backlog that large before the first flight, he said. Second flight, Certification 2, is targeting either the first or second quarter of 2024. Bruno said, but he deferred to its customer Sierra Space to announce a more specific target date. That mission will be to fly the Dream Chaser spacecraft, an uncrewed cargo spaceplane that will dock with the International Space Station before returning for a landing back at Kennedy Space Center like the Space Shuttle used to do. Although the launch schedule for Vulcan has been planned and ready, this still cannot prevent ULA from the possibility of being acquired by other contractors. If I were buying a space business, I'd go look at ULA, Bruno said. It's already had all the hard work done during the transformation. You're not buying a Victorian with bad plumbing, it's all been done. You're coming in at the end of the remodel so you can focus on your future. These remarks were widely and correctly interpreted as confirmation that ULA was for sale. If you didn't know, we already have 3 buyers for the Colorado-based launch company. These include a private equity fund, a well-capitalized aerospace firm that is interested in increasing its space portfolio, and especially the Jeff Bezos-owned space company Blue Origin. Leaving the other 2 bidders aside, what we are most interested in is the company with the highest potential to acquire ULA, and that is Blue Origin. Jeff Bezos' space company has been rumored to be one of the potential buyers for some time. Many might think that Blue Origin can't even take care of itself, let alone ULA. Indeed, the shortcomings of Blue Origin are undeniable, but once Jeff adds ULA to the plan, the benefits for the company will be substantial. ULA was established in 2006 through the merger of Boeing's Delta rocket program and Lockheed Martin's Atlas launch vehicle line. Since then, ULA has become a profitable enterprise for both aerospace giants, thanks to military launch contracts and large annual subsidies from the U.S. Department of Defense to maintain launch readiness for national security missions. In recent years, ULA's dominance in satellite launches was first challenged and then replaced by the rise of SpaceX and the more cost-effective and reliable Falcon 9 rocket. Bruno, who became CEO of ULA in 2016, cut staff numbers and took other steps to control costs, such as closing infrequently used launch pads. However, Bruno's most significant initiative is the development of the large-scale Vulcan rocket, aiming to compete more effectively in terms of cost with SpaceX's Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy vehicles, while ending ULA's dependence on Russian-made rocket engines. And the goal that Jeff Bezos is aiming for is this new generation orbital rocket. It could replace New Glenn if that rocket faces delays for any reasons. It would also be highly beneficial for the launch needs of Amazon's Project Kuiper satellite constellation. Of course, the government assured contracts that Bezos' desires cannot be overlooked. In Denver, Voyager Space was ambitious about launching Starlab, a new space station aimed to succeed the International Space Station as a hub for space commerce. Creating a space station wasn't easy and needed more help. So on October 4, 2023, Voyager Space joined forces with Northrop Grumman. They own Cygnus, a spacecraft that flown 19 times, delivering loads of supplies to the ISS. Now, the plan was for Cygnus to supply Starlab. Even better, Cygnus was going to get an upgrade to dock with Starlab on its own, without needing people to help. This was a big deal, with the ability to dock by itself. Cygnus could keep Starlab running for at least 5 years, fitting well with NASA's big plan of boosting business activities in space, with Starlab being a major step towards that goal. With Voyager Space and its partners working hard on Starlab, excitement soared. They were laying down the plans for a new era of space exploration. The buzz around Starlab's space debut, marking a new chapter of human effort in low Earth orbit, was easy to feel. Project Kuiper is Amazon's answer to SpaceX's Starlink, using a bunch of small satellites to provide internet by bouncing signals between Earth and space gadgets. While the exact tech is a secret, Kuiper aims to provide internet speeds up to 400 megabits per second, faster than Starlink's 50 to 150 megabits per second, thanks to Amazon's 12 future ground relay stations. SpaceX has similar plans, but with about 3,500 satellites already in space, they have a lead, with Blue Origin, owned by Amazon, is rushing to catch up with permission to launch 3236 new Kuiper satellites by 2026. At first, these satellites were set to launch on ULA's new Vulcan rocket, but due to delays, 9 Atlas V rockets were used instead. Deals with Arianespace for their Ariane 6 rocket were also delayed, even though they could have asked SpaceX for help. It seems Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon and Blue Origin, chose not to. It might not be ideal, but it's what they decided. In July, Amazon shared plans for a big satellite processing center in Florida at NASA's Kennedy Space Center. But as the prep spot for satellite launches, once Blue Origin rockets are ready to fly. Recently, the FCC looked into an issue with Blue Origin's New Shepard vehicle, requiring some changes before approving more launches. Despite the hurdles, Amazon and Blue Origin keep pushing forward, mainly driven by their deals with the government, especially the U.S. military. Unlike SpaceX, Project Kuiper is designed to connect with military satellite networks in low Earth orbit. Last October, Amazon's higher-ups and the military agreed on using Project Kuiper to improve the military's space network speed and coverage. The first 2 Kuiper test satellites will also test laser communication with these systems, showing the military's strong interests in speeding up Amazon's progress to compete with SpaceX. Despite the hurdles, Amazon and Blue Origin are carefully moving forward, possibly looking to offer cheaper options once they catch up. A common tactic for Amazon. Voyager, particularly its division called NanoRacks, had a unique idea. They wanted to create a station named Starlab, with plans to launch it in a single mission around 2028. Remember, last year's NanoRacks was testing cutting-edge technology in orbit, aiming to turn old rocket parts into pieces of their space station Starlab. Even with the space partnership, their main idea stays the same. With goals to create a science park in space, filled with top-notch labs working in microgravity, open to anyone who can pay, not just NASA. The big change in this project is Northrop Grumman's park, now set to provide an improved version of their Cygnus cargo drone for the station for the first 5 or so years. Let's go back to 2021 for a moment. NASA chose Northrop Grumman, NanoRacks, and another company, Blue Origin. they were part of a NASA program to make new space stations. These stations would be used once the International Space Station is no longer in orbit, which is planned for the end of this decade. NASA had a new approach. They gave these companies their knowledge and some money. In return, NASA could use any new technology or facilities for this deal. But things changed. Northrop Grumman decided their original plan wouldn't work out. They're usually a company that makes parts, not big, complex projects. Plus, they probably didn't have enough money to finish the job. NASA gave each company some money for research and making prototypes. Blue Origin got $130 million. NanoRacks got $160 million. And Northrop Grumman got about $125.638 million. So Northrop Grumman made a smart choice. They decided to help NanoRacks instead of trying to compete with the big companies. It seems like a good move. Then another story of space-based internet. Project Kuiper and Starlink are racing to cover the world with satellites, hoping to fix Earth's internet problems. Having Amazon and SpaceX in this competition, along with the older story of building space stations, shows a wider picture of both competing and working together in exploring space. Also, better satellite tech, like hot sat-1's heat picture-taking ability, shows the growing uses of space tools. From planning cities to looking after the environment, these better tools show endless chances of space tech. The space above us is buzzing with action as big companies and governments team up or face off. From Amazon's new space internet to the exciting plans for new space stations, there's a lot happening. And with cool new satellite tech like hot sat-1, the future looks exciting. So, they're in the process of ramping up production rate. The engines are in good shape and are going to be delivered in time for us to put on a booster and be standing by ready to go. By 2025, ULA looks to bring on a second integration facility in Cape Canaveral, so it can prep 2 rockets at once while aiming for Vulcan's first launch from Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. As they move through time, the rate is increasing sort of continuously in that factory in Huntsville and is expected to keep up with us through 2024 and then really be hitting its stride. In 2025 as we're hitting our higher rate, Bruno said. We're expecting Blue to keep up with us. They're working very, very hard to do that. So far, so good. The B-4 is combined with up to 6 solid rocket boosters that can bring more than 60,000 pounds of payload to lower Earth orbit, an increase over its Atlas and Delta capabilities. A new heavy-class space launch vehicle is not introduced every day, Bruno said. Generally, those things are a decade or 2 apart, so it takes a long time to develop one. And so this is the end of a multi-year-long journey for us. It's going to bring a new capability to the country, to our customers and ourselves, so we're super excited about it. And that's about it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, and that's all for today's update. If you enjoyed watching and found it useful, please make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. And if you want to support our channel and if you want to be up to date, you can become an exclusive member, so click on our perks through the link in the description below. Thanks to watching and see you next time. By the way, are you familiar Ipa-toktok Philippines app? Ipa-toktok is a delivery service app designed to connect more people by delivering items door to door. For more information, download the Ipa-toktok app, here down below.